October was a relatively busy month for real estate sales here in Waterloo region compared to September. I'm going to tell you all about it starting right now. The October numbers came in a couple weeks back, and sales volumes here in the region were up, give or take 75, 76 sales compared to September, which was quite slow. We had 600 sales. If you look at that for an October compared to the last 10 years, we're down, I'm going to say, roughly 20% on sales volumes. So this October, although relatively busy compared to September, was still the third slowest October we've had in 10 years. For slower than that, you'd want to look at 2023 and then October of 2022 for the all-time slowest we've had in the last decade. So anyways, good to see we've had some market activity, but it's been a quiet market. And this has really kind of been a trend I've been talking about this entire year. All of my market updates, I've talked about how slow our marketplace is. And that, to a degree, that's also reflected in what we've seen for prices. Prices have been trading in pretty much every segment in a fairly narrow band. I'm going to say give or take $50,000, and we've seen that consistently throughout this year. Now I want to talk to you first about detached properties. Detached properties for October came in at $884,000. That's flat on a year-over-year basis and down slightly month-over-month. I think we were down $25,000 or $30,000. That's the kind of swings I'm talking about. Not massive, but a little bit up and down, and you look at it on a year-over-year basis and it's pretty much unchanged. Talking about semis came in at 650. That's down slightly compared to last year, and again, flat on a month-over-month basis. So this is what we're seeing with the marketplace. Nothing really going on up or down. Talking to you about townhouses. Townhouses was the exact same thing. We came in for October at $643,000. That's unchanged from last year. And on a month-over-month basis, on the other hand, I think that was up around $35,000 or $40,000. And lastly, I'm going to finish off with apartment-style condos. Apartment-style condos, that's up slightly compared to September. And again, flat on apartment-style condos, that's up slightly on a year-over-year basis, and that's flat on a month-over-month basis. This segment in particular, what I want to lead into next is talking about inventories. The condo market, apartment style, we've got 8 months worth of inventory, and I think that the condo market in particular is what's bleeding into this quietness we're seeing in the marketplace. One thing I want to talk to you about today is cap rates. Now, on an investment property, if you look on Investopedia, for example, or just scrolling the internet, you'll find that an ideal cap rate for an investment property should be between 7 and 10% return on the money you've invested. Well, we haven't seen cap rates like that in 7 or 8 years or 6 years. And the reason why is prices have gone up so high and rents haven't followed lockstep with them. So what ended up happening for a lot of investors over the past 5 years is they needed price appreciation to get their rate of return. And now that we've seen this retraction in prices since 2022, the numbers for a lot of investors don't really work the way they need to as far as it being a good investment. If you, for example, have got a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom condo and you can't get enough rent to pay your bills and you're a little bit underwater every month, well, your average investor is going to not want to do it. That makes sense. So these guys are leaving the marketplace, and that has led to a little bit of a, I got to say glut's too strong of a word, at least here in Kitchener-Waterloo. Certainly a glut in apartment-style condos in Toronto. That's bleeding into the overall market. I really think that's what's going on. And I think looking at this in hindsight, a lot of the froth that was going into the market really from, say, 2017 into 2022, I think a good chunk of it was investors, and that whole thing was self-fulfilling prophecy. Prices are going up and more people are jumping on board. That's what happens with investments. It happens with the stock market too. Now, talking about that, I think that's, cause and effect certainly. What's November look like? Well, I pulled the November numbers, and again, we've seen decreases in pretty much every segment on a month-over-month basis. On a year-over-year basis, no, more or less flat. November, December, January, in our marketplace, that's always typically quiet. It's the end of the year. People do not want to be going out and buying houses in freezing cold weather, and to have a slow November and having prices drop a little bit, I mean, that's kind of normal. I think what we're seeing is a bit of a return to a normal market where things aren't crazy and heated, and this slowness and these price reductions are all kind of part of that. I think going forward, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 rate cuts, 3 of them at 25 basis points and then a big one at 50. The government is very, very aware, as is the Bank of Canada, that things are very sluggish in the Canadian economy, and those moves are strong and substantial, and they're trying to get a kickstart to the economy. That hasn't really translated into the housing market really picking up, and it might be a few more months before we see that. The spring, will prices pick up? That might happen. Right now, I was reading a real estate magazine the other day. Average typical canceled listings for September is 25%. We actually had 36% canceled in September. And I know this actually firsthand, working with my buyers. I have had listings where they've said, no, we're pulling it off the market. We didn't get our price several times now. I've had clients offering on properties where you can see clearly, looking at the history, that the seller had bought at the height of the market in 2021 or 2022, and now they're underwater $100,000, $150,000. They want to sell. They're not going to get their money back because we're not at that price point anymore. That's playing into the market as well. Things have definitely shifted from just a couple of years ago, and it's going to be an interesting spring. I think things will pick up, but again, I don't think it's going to be crazy, kind of like what I forecast this year. Anyways, that's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for watching, and have yourself a fantastic day.